Don't tell me what to do. What an all-schuler. The Baba Yaga.
Have you ever been as angry as Susan seems to be right now? Do you remember how quickly it happened? Right in the middle of a game.
The most
just when you were having
dangerous
a lot of
game.
fun. And how you wished, as Paul does, that you could take your anger out on the person who made you angry.
I'll show Disney they can't ruin Star Wars.
Oh, no!
And have you too felt like throwing things or breaking them? As Carol does because she's angry at her sister Susan and at Priscilla.
I'm angry at that wallpaper.
Everyone gets angry now and then.
Even a young Tom
He feels
Osborne.
like destroying or hitting something, as Eddie is doing.
Oh God, he's hitting rock bottom.
Feeling angry
you,
is a
Ford.
natural thing, just as natural as feeling glad or sorry. But angry feelings are disagreeable.
Screw you, Bull.
They make you act and look as well as feel unhappy. But let's go back and see what made these boys and girls angry.
Probably their
Then maybe we
hairdos.
can better understand what happens to us when we get angry.
Okay, that's more ennui than anger, right?
Yeah.
It all started in the park when Susan and her
Saturday
sister Carol and their
in
friend
the park,
Priscilla
I
were
stabbed
having
you
a
with the
good
fork
time
in the
jumping rope.
eye.
You, ma'am! I didn't! I said I didn't! I saw
Next
you
time on The
and
Real
you're
Housewives of
turning like
Utah.
the turn now. Take her in! I will not! You stopped turning and made me miss on purpose. My turn. It isn't Priscilla's.
The argument with Carol made Susan very angry.
She has to speak to
We
the
all have
manager.
arguments once in a while, and it's natural to get angry. And so, when Carol refused to give in, Susan quit the game and went home.
That'll show him.
Susan nestled down on the soft couch and tried to forget her anger. But somehow her feelings of anger didn't go away, and Susan could not read or think of anything she wanted to do.
Okay, with the mix of patterns in that room,
The
who could
trouble
think?
was that
Why
Susan's
can't
anger was
Susan
still
read?
bottled up inside of her.
Ugh, fuck that chocolate.
She felt as though she were bursting with unhappiness. How could she get rid of her anger?
Post on the neighborhood app?
Let's listen to what she has to say to Carol.
Susan, may I borrow your tennis racket? I want to play with Priscilla. No, you can't use anything of mine. Not ever. I'm so mad at you. What's the matter with you?
Seems pretty rational to
She's
me.
angry because she couldn't have her way when we were playing jump rope. She didn't play fair.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Let's talk it over. Susan,
Oh, God.
tell me all about it.
Oh, Mom, it's
Gradually,
the patriarchy.
Susan is getting
from the
rid of her
microaggressions, the sexual
Angry
double
feelings
standards,
should be
the
gotten
wage
rid of
gap.
one way or another, but always without hurting someone else. Let's leave Susan and her family now
Just
and
like
see
her
what
dad.
made Paul angry
Ooh,
and what
ouch.
happened to him.
Yoko and the Wings made
Oh,
Paul
I bet
angry.
this plane will fly for 5 minutes. Better fly longer than Pete.
Huh. Do you think they considered putting a microphone in the same room as the actors?
Break it? That's Pete. Boy, wait till Pete gets here. We can take him out and fly him all around.
I guess I'll just go back to lathing my dildo then.
Oh, hi, Pete. Look at the planes. Aren't they wonderful? Come on, let's go.
I'm not going to fly planes today. I'm going to play ball.
But you said we'd fly our planes.
I said I would, but I changed my mind. Besides that, Jack said I could play first base.
And Jack never lets
We
me
can
get to
fly
first
planes
base.
tomorrow.
You're a heck of a guy. First you promise, then you break your promise.
Oh, so what?
That's a dirty trick.
The broken promise and disappointment have made Paul furiously angry,
This guy has a real
like this
young
happen to all
forest
of us.
vibe.
and we're pretty likely to get angry.
Paul tries to drown himself in the water
moment,
fountain, but he
Paul
fails at
stopped.
that too.
And thought about going to the gym, where he hears Mr. Jackson working with a punching bag.
Oh God, that's
But
not
then
what he's
he
doing.
decided he didn't feel like going to the gym or like watching Mr. Jackson.
Oh, phew.
He went home.
That almost turned into a Sean Cody video.
Oh, it's Old Yeller 2, The Revenge.
Like Susan,
Cujo, come
Paul
back!
wished he could forget his anger. But the more he thought about Pete, the angrier he got.
Go National!
My favorite team.
You can see he didn't feel much like playing baseball. Nothing seemed like fun. The anger was still in him.
Mostly in his butt. That's where I keep mine.
He felt thoroughly upset.
Paul quietly fantasizes about breaking into the homes of families in Wichita to bind, torture, and kill.
So specific.
Perhaps we can understand better how Paul felt if we understand what happens to all of us when we get angry. It's as if suddenly many parts of our body work harder and faster. We feel great excitement. Hearts beat faster, and the blood seems to rush quicker through the body.
Is this a prequel to
Sometimes a lot of
Osmosis
blood rushes
Jones?
to the head. Our face gets flushed. Sometimes blood rushes to the stomach. Anger makes us feel sick all over. Sometimes we clench our fists or bite our nails. Often we feel as though we were like kettles filled with steam.
Short and
The
stout.
angrier we get, the stronger the pressure inside of us. Like the kettles, we must find some way to let the pressure out. When Susan got angry at Carol in the park, she got all stirred up inside. And when Paul got angry at his friend Pete, he too felt as though he were boiling over with anger.
Rage, kids.
But when
Rage.
Susan went home, she didn't let her anger out. And Paul made the same mistake. You can see that Susan and Paul would have felt better if they had found a good way to let the steam off sooner. Because it is important to let out our angry feelings, let's think of some different ways of getting rid of them. One way would have been for Susan to tell Carol right away that she was furious at her.
Compliment each other's
Then
scarves.
she might have gone on turning the rope and waiting for her turn to jump.
That was fun.
Perhaps Susan would have jumped so hard that she could have jumped higher and better than she ever had, and the girls would have admired her for doing so well.
Hulk jump high.
It's like the 50s equivalent of
Or
let your haters
Susan
be your
could have looked for her
motivators.
mother as soon as she came home and told her all about her trouble. Talking difficulties over with friends, parents, homeroom teachers, or the coach are good ways to get rid of anger. If Susan had tried any of these ways, she would have let her anger out and pleasant feelings would gradually have returned.
Oh, nice.
Susan then would have soon forgotten her troubles and gone on playing. Now, let's see what Paul might have done to get rid of his anger. When he passed by the gym, he might have entered. And then,
Hi, Mr. Jackson.
Hi, Paul. Boy, it sure feels good to get the old muscles loosened up again. But I thought you were going to be flying your model plane this afternoon.
We were, but Pete ditched me.
Well, how'd that happen?
We were just about to fly our planes when Pete decided to play baseball.
Baseball. Here, Paul, you want to hit the bag?
had Paul started talking to Mr. Jackson as soon as Pete left him, or even decided to punch the bag, his disappointment and anger would have dissolved, and he would have begun to feel better right then.
Fucking Peter. Fucking Mary. Fucking little Jackie Paper.
Perhaps as Paul pounded the bag, he might have thought it was Pete. Every swing was a swing at Pete. Do you think that would have helped Paul get rid of his anger?
I always feel better when I pound my bag.
Anyhow, with his feelings taken out on the punching bag, Paul may have found that he wasn't angry anymore.
Wow, that kid is messed up.
That evening, Pete telephoned Paul to apologize for changing plans without talking first with Paul.
Pussy Willow.
He knew that he'd been wrong. When Paul told him how angry he'd been, Pete asked if he could come right over and work with Paul on their airplanes. So they had a good time together after all. There are other ways, too, of getting rid of anger. For instance, see what Eddie is doing?
Writing his manifesto?
He is getting rid of his anger by drawing a picture of his aunt,
Just like his
who
dog
a few
told him
hours
to.
before had scolded him.
Is that George Washington?
His
Oh, no,
mother
it's his
isn't
death
home yet,
note.
so he can't talk to her. But he can make a funny picture of his aunt, and that makes him feel better.
Sexy Princess
He's
Leia.
having so much fun drawing the picture that he forgets all about his anger. Perhaps you, like Carol, can imagine dreaming up a story about animals or people that would help you get the anger out of your system.
Maybe.
All these are good ways to get rid of anger.
But killing is still the best, though.
Well, I don't know if that's such a good idea, Mr.
They free
Hand.
us so
I don't
that we can start having fun again.
Oh, no!
You see, the important thing is to let out our
Very
anger in
timely
some
Mr.
active
Bill
way.
reference.
By running, or jumping, or hitting the punching bag. But we must be sure that we don't hurt or make others angry. Because if we remember what happens inside of us when we get angry,
Diarrhea?
we'll be more careful about making others angry. And perhaps, too, when we get angry, we'll think of the best ways to work our anger out of our system.
The best way for me to work anything out of my system
Can you
is Taco
remember
Bell.
some of the good ways that helped Susan and Paul get rid of their anger? What would you have done if you'd been Paul or Susan?
Some nights I'm both.
I think I would have pounded my bag, Marv. I think I would have pounded my bag.
Makes sense. It's the